Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Lars.
Today, we're going to tier rank. We're going to do another tier rank, Larson.
These are fun.
These are fun because we get to rank things on a tier.
Yeah.
Today, so obviously, a lot of people talking about Austin Theory and his shitty Money in the Bank, his moment, his rock bottom moment. It's perplexing everybody, even Elias, seemingly in a shoot on WWE's The Bump, was very confused by the fact that there was an open challenge going on. He was going for the U.S. title. Even Elias was like, what is happening right now? And so I thought it'd be fun to tier rank Money in the Bank winners. And I'm sort of a problem. I'm not even sure, like, it's not necessarily cash-ins. It's the Money in the Bank story that these winners told during and in conclusion of their cash in or lack thereof. Mm-hmm. So first up, you've got your list in front of you. I've got a blank slate right here. I like S tier always being that God tier, but like D tier, can we rename that trash tier?
Sure.
Trash.
Sure. Trash tier.
And then I guess what B would be mid.
Mid tier, yeah.
A would be
awesome.
Awesome. Okay. But awesome S tier, well, I'm going to rename S tier God tier.
God tier, that's fine. Or
God
super.
tier. Super.
S for super.
Well, I think is awesome better than super? That's a debate to be had. And then
that's
in between
a subjective thing.
In between mid and trash, obviously we just be bad, right?
Yeah.
There's bad, but then there's
or
trash.
Meh.
Mid and then meh.
Meh is below mid.
Meh is below mid. Okay. All right, sounds good. I mean, I think immediately we could both agree Mr. Anderson can go right in the trash, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to start in trash tier?
Well, no, let's just sort of feel out this process. I don't think we have to necessarily go tier by tier, but like, for example, another trash tier Money in the Bank would be I guess Otis, right?
Yeah.
Otis. And should we link Otis and The Miz together?
So,
in terms of The Miz's second one, obviously.
Yeah. Miz's second one. Not that his first one was all that great, but the second one, yeah. The second one was worse. Although the second one did lead to Bobby Lashley winning the WWE Championship, so that's something.
I liked that episode where The Miz was just running from Lashley, and it was sort of a No Country for Old Men. He was like on the run from Sugar. They even had they both had briefcases. But Otis, the combined number of days that this contract went uncashed, 312. Almost went a year without being cashed
in. Yeah, it was early the following year. Well, it was Extreme Rules. No, it was TLC where Miz tried to do it the first time. Mm-hmm. And since Morrison was, gosh, that was dumb. Mm-hmm. Since Morrison was the one who actually, down by Otis.
Yeah, that's they go hand in hand. The fact, you just mentioned the fact that he cashed in and then they gave it back to him.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
So let's go to a couple other no-brainers. Obviously, Seth's is the best cash in of all time, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean,
and even the story was solid. He had that awesome match at Rumble 2015 that really solidified him, I think, in a lot of people's eyes as a main eventer.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The one with Cena and Brock for the title.
Yeah.
That match was spectacular. By that point, by the time of Rumble 15, you already had J&J security with him. Mm-hmm. Like they were putting the pieces in place for him to have his title run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was, and we were there, so of course that. But that dude, when that match was happening and that the fucking double beat comes in on Seth Rollins, man, that whole place just I could watch that over and over again. Mm-hmm. I think obviously another God tier one would be the very first one in my opinion. That was Edge.
Exactly. Yep, set the template for the whole thing.
Yeah, it did absolutely. I thought that was like one of the very few strokes of genius from WWE back in the day. The concept, which I think was invented by Jericho, and then
or at least he's credited with it. Yeah,
yeah, and then the execution of that first one was absolutely fantastic.
Was really good. Also, God tier, you got to say RVD.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I think those are without doubt the three best Money in the Bank runs and cash-ins that we have ever seen.
I agree. You know what's funny is that like so many people, I would prefer to put him on the awesome tier, although I know a lot of people are going to complain. I am going to upload this later to Friendo Club TV.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion, is an awesome tier, but I don't consider him God tier. So many people do, though.
I think because the actual moment of his cash-in was really cool. But as far as the general story of cash-in, and part of the story of cash-in is what happens afterwards as well.
It's easy to forget just how Dolph Ziggler felt like he was. Dolph Ziggler in 2012 arguably was in a Seth Rollins position in 2014. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because he had Big E with him. He had AJ. That was a sick faction. That was a really cool faction. And he was Mr. Money in the Bank. And then sadly, because of concussions or injuries or whatever, that title reign did not last long. And he was just killed. Like he had bright spots here and there, but after that, he sort of firmly became like, oh, if he gets Intercontinental Championship, then, he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I agree. I have Dolph at top on awesome tier.
I'll put him top on awesome tier. So we can sort of also just handle the elephant in the room at this point. Austin Theory, he's got to be in the trash tier, right?
Yeah, I have a mid-trash tier.
Okay.
I only have Kennedy, Sandow, Miz, and Otis behind him on trash tier.
Okay, so here's why I know that it was a failed cash-in.
Yeah.
Sandow had the leather briefcase.
See, that's like the one redeeming thing. Otherwise, his entire run with the briefcase was awful.
He lost a lot, didn't he?
I think he was like 1-13.
Oh my God.
And then his actual cash-in was embarrassing. He basically rendered one of John Cena's arms useless, and then Cena still beat him.
Yeah. Still, but here's the thing. He had the leather brief. Here's my thing about the trash tier. This is my thing about the trash tier. There's no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Well, okay. I have to amend that. Personally speaking, for Otis, it's like Otis would be God tier if this was for my, like, specifically a Steve tier maker list. Everything would probably end up being the exact same as it is, except because
Otis
of that
would climb right to the top.
Oh man, oh yeah, but his arms can't reach the So Sandow, you're firm on trash.
Yeah,
firm on trash. All right. Well, I'm going to make him like the
one small detail aside.
I'll give him. I'm going to give him. I will say that as compromise, top of the trash heap,
if you want.
So the leather briefcase is sort of smelling the meh tier, but everything else about it is trashy.
The sumptuous smell of leather is getting them close to meh tier, huh?
I mean, in that regards, you got to put Baron Corbin in the trash tier as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. I have Baron in trash tier.
I'd put Baron
as well as Braun Strowman.
I'd put Baron above. Oh my God. Oh, Braun Strowman. Okay, so I agree with that. Trying to figure out. Okay, so Braun, in my opinion, lands in between Corbin, but not as bad as Austin Theory.
So you have Sandow, Corbin, then Braun?
Yeah.
See, I had Sandow, Braun, then Corbin. Because at least Braun was over when he won the briefcase. And it was just from that point on, they booked Braun like he had no idea how the actual mechanics of cashing in ever worked.
That's why I have Braun.
And then they turned him heel.
That's why I have Braun after Corbin. Because Corbin cashed in and it was like, oh, he's got a good reason for doing this. And then I think it was like Cena, ended up screwing him over.
And then Jinder rolls him up, yeah.
Braun, I think, didn't his cash in? Was that Hell in a Cell? He cashed in at Hell in a Cell?
That ended in no contest, yeah.
And it ended in no contest. So I'd put Braun after, because Braun looked so stupid during that entire Money in the Bank run.
He really looked so stupid.
All right.
Like an absolute idiot.
All right. What about
trash tier? Trash tier. I think that's trash tier. Then we got Sandow, Baron, Braun, Theory, Mr. Kennedy. You got to put Mr. Kennedy in there.
Yeah. Mr. Kennedy is okay, but is Mr. Kennedy better than or worse than Otis / Miz?
I think he's better than, because I think he was the one guy who said, I'm going to cash this in at WrestleMania, and that's kind of a cool idea.
That is a cool idea, but
I think that's what redeems his run from being bottom tier.
Okay. Okay, from being like
At least the
literally
idea
the
of him
worst.
cashing in at Mania was cool.
Otis and him should be. You know what I'll do? Okay, we'll do this. Well, I'm actually going to do this. I'll do this. I'm going to actually separate Miz from Otis and put him above Mr. Kennedy.
All right.
I'll actually put Miz here. I'll put Miz above Austin. Miz actually successfully cashed in, unlike any of these other guys. So maybe Miz and Otis should bookend this thing.
There we go. Miz, number one in trash tier.
Top trash tier. Yeah, top trash tier. All right, and then Kennedy better than Otis. Yeah, Kennedy better than Otis.
Yeah.
Boy, poor Kennedy. All because of that bunk that it was like a bruise, and they thought it was like, his arm was going to fall off.
They thought it was tricep, towards tricep or something like that.
Kennedy.
Let's go back up. We have our God tier. Those three. We started with the awesome tier with Dolph. I got two other potential options for A tier.
Oh, sure.
Neither of these Money in the Bank briefcase winners had the briefcase long, but both of them had stories that were really interesting. I'm talking first
Alberto
about,
Del Rio.
No, Dean Ambrose won Money in the Bank in one night where every member of the Shield was heavyweight champion.
Classic.
I think that's pretty cool. And then I have Asuka winning at arguably, no, I don't think it's there's any argument about it. The most fun Money in the Bank ladder match we've ever seen is the climb the corporate ladder bout. Not only did she have one of the coolest spots during the match, she won it. And not only did she win the match, in the process of winning the match, she became champion.
Yeah.
And I think that's all pretty cool.
It was a really, really wonderful moment.
And she carried WWE through the first half of summer of pandemic era. She carried.
I always sort of, they're two very, very different things. So it's like comparing different genres of two excellent movies, like No Country for Old Men and like 2001. But like the Wyatt Cena stuff at WrestleMania, the Firefly Funhouse, and Money in the Bank. Those are my two absolute favorite cinematic matches during pandemic. They're both so good. That Money in the Bank one was so entertaining.
It was so much damn fun.
It was really, really good. So I'll put them in the awesome tier. You know another one I'm going to put in the awesome tier, because I just watched it again the other day to get some reference, was Bayley's Money in the Bank cash in on Charlotte. I thought that was a really wonderful moment. Her gear is outstanding. And I don't know, was that her first championship? Main roster championship. I think it might have been.
So she cashed it in the same night she won the briefcase.
Yeah. Let's see here. Another one I'd actually, for the ballsy nature of it and how much heat, so much heat. Randy Orton cashing in on Daniel Bryan. At the end of SummerSlam, which was another chapter in SummerSlam being BummerSlam, because it always ends on a down note.
On a down note, yeah.
But I mean, honestly, that was the kickoff to like a fucking 8-month story for Daniel Bryan, leading to Mania 30.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'd put the Orton one in there, man. I think he was a
I
killer.
Had it high on B list for me, but I would not argue with putting it lower awesome tier.
Let's move. Okay. Let me ask you this: where the fuck does Swagger go? Where does Swagger and Del Rio go? Because I feel like they're next to each other.
I have them. I have Del Rio, Swagger in that order, bottom of meh tier.
Okay, they're sniffing the trash pile.
Yes,
because they were successful.
Yeah, I know, but then I have Kane right before Del Rio.
Okay, so you and I are going to differ on that one.
Really?
Kane's is really fucking dramatic. I went back and I rewatched it, and it's like, okay, I understand the circumstance. It's Kane, right? It's like, who really gives a shit? But the actual moment, because he cashed, I think it's the same show. I think he cashed it at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, he won it and then cashed it on Rey Mysterio. But wasn't the situation like Kane helped him, and then he came back? Yeah, he helped him, came back to cash in on him, and then accused him, I think, of attacking Undertaker.
Yeah, which is, I can forget about that part of it. But that is actually a really, really cool moment in terms of like, oh man, this monster is helping me. No, he's coming back to fuck me up. I would put Kane in mid tier. I wouldn't put him anywhere near awesome tier, but I wouldn't put him in meh tier.
Well, if he's in mid tier, it's gonna be towards the bottom of mid tier.
Okay, that's a good compromise right there. Let's talk about. Okay, let's talk about this one because it's kind of sad. Big E.
Yeah,
we love Big E. Obviously,
absolutely one of my favorites. One of my absolute favorites, and I was ecstatic
Yeah.
when he won.
If this was anybody else, the actual Money in the Bank run and cash in would be in meh tier. Because if it was anybody else, now I guess you could add it to the mid tier because it's Big E. This was a big moment for him. And the cash in, he became WWE champion. That was a big deal. We love Big E. And thank God that happened before his neck injury because he, if nothing else, he can always say, I'm WWE champion. So I'm cool putting that at the top of the mid tier, but I don't see a way to get him in the awesome tier because the execution was so bad.
I don't disagree with any of that. I had him towards the top. I'm at top of mid tier.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Also, I have Carmella's second win, the one that was on SmackDown, not on the actual pay-per-view, towards the top of mid-tier. Because I thought the story they told with her having the briefcase, especially her cashing in Charlotte the day after WrestleMania, just after Charlotte beat Asuka.
Yeah.
And then her run with the title was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like Carmella, yeah.
I thought the one on SmackDown was really good.
Okay, so
I had that towards the top of
because they got Carmella twice on here. One of them was the Ellsworth one, right?
So yeah, that was
and
the one
ran it back
the actual
on SmackDown.
pay-per-view. Yeah, that one on the actual pay-per-view where Ellsworth was actually the one who grabbed the briefcase and gave it to her. I think it was Daniel Bryan when he was GM of SmackDown. Said that's not going to fly. We're going to redo the match on SmackDown.
And you put
Carmella,
her, you put the SmackDown one on the mid tier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put her right behind Big E for now because I agree with everything you said. I mean, I'm just going to sort of just to put her somewhere because I have the Ellsworth one on here. I'm just going to.
I have that top of the meh tier because it was cool that it was really awesome that she won, but having Ellsworth be the one to grab the briefcase instead of her just kind of. It kind of diluted the impact of it.
I felt so bad for that moment being booked that way for her because I think Carmella's wonderful.
Yeah, same here. And yeah, to have it kind of that first win because that was the first Women's Money in the Bank match too. To have that first win kind of be tainted like that was a bummer. They could have just done it the same way they did on SmackDown, and it would have been awesome.
Out of respect for the moment, I'm just going to leave that here. I'm just not even going to rank it because it is so bad. Fucking Ellsworth just gave it to her. Oh, that was so unforgivably bad.
I know.
Let's talk about Phil Brooks, Mr. the Muffin Scrum man himself.
Yeah.
So
back-to-back winners.
Back-to-back winners. That's a good deal. I mean, you'd probably just put them in both of them right next to each other in the mid-level. I mean,
That's exactly what I did. I have them back-to-back right next to each other, middle of the mid.
He sort of did the same thing for both of them year after year. The first year, Batista took out Edge while Edge was giving a promo, and then Punk came down and cashed in. And then the following year was on Jeff Hardy at Extreme Rules, I think.
I would say I would give the Edge to the Jeff Hardy one because that actually was a story that people were interested in. They had a really good match at SummerSlam.
I don't know which one of these is which. So
I don't either.
But just
keep right next to each other.
Okay, we'll just keep them right next to each other, and we'll assume that the top one is the better one is the Hardy one.
I have Edge's second Money in the Bank run, the one he took from Mr. Kennedy, high on the mid tier because he destroyed Mr. Kennedy to get that briefcase, cashed in on The Undertaker on SmackDown. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. All right, I'm going to put him behind Miss Carmella here.
That's what I got to. Right behind Edge, I actually have Sheamus winning. At the time, really down on it.
Oh man, but
it was pretty awesome to have him cash in on Roman at Survivor Series and see Roman completely dejected. And for that there's like 2 months there, where they managed to get face Roman super over, and a lot of that was because, hey, we'll put Money in the Bank and the title on Sheamus because nobody at that time was gonna cheer Sheamus.
You know what? I will totally give this because he's so loved now.
I know,
and he's so good now. I will because it's so funny. At the time, I remember we all hated it, but now because I went back and I watched this one again, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool for Sheamus. It's like, I don't, so yeah, that's cool. Okay, where do you put Boombox Brock? The Boombox Money in the Bank.
I have both Brock and Cena's run from Money in the Bank in the meh tier because neither of them really needed it.
Well, Cena won his match by DQ. He didn't even get to cash in properly.
I know. I have it towards the tail end of meh. And then Brock wants a title match. He's Brock Lesnar. Just give him a title match. He didn't need to win Money in the Bank.
You have him in mid. Yeah, it's hard to put where he cashed in on Seth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that.
No.
This was a waste. But yeah, this was a waste.
It was a waste.
They could have, and especially like they did it at the expense of Mustafa Ali sitting there. Ooh, I don't like that. Yeah, I'll put that. I'll put that above Cena because Cena got that DQ. The DQ is
exactly.
That's
exactly.
the fucking worst.
So I have Brock. If we're taking Carmella's first win at Money in the Bank out, I have Brock top of the meh tier.
Okay,
and then Cena, Del Rio, and then Jack Swagger.
Okay, you got Brock, then
Cena, and then Del Rio and Jack Swagger.
Okay, Del Rio. You know, the crazy thing about Del Rio is that I went back and rewatched that this morning. The crowd. I think the crowd's always going to pop for Money in the Bank. This was a real test though, and the crowd still popped for him. But yeah, they like used Del Rio to like motivate a fucking CM Punk Kevin Nash feud. That was weird.
It didn't even happen. Instead, it was Punk and Triple H.
Because Nash, I think, tore his legs.
Yeah, he was hurt or something like that, so he couldn't do it. Yeah. And so then Triple H ended up beating CM Punk.
Yeah. Let's see here. Where would you put... Daniel Bryan cashing in, I'm tempted to put after Orton on the awesome tier because I was not really aware. I had never really known Bryan as a bad guy. Like WWE was my exposure. I never saw him. I saw him like once in Ring of Honor, but I didn't really know much about him. Yeah. He was so goddamn entertaining when he was acting like he slayed those giants. When in fact, he just waited till they were both laid out after like a chairs match or some shit.
Yeah.
I really loved it. And I know that like, you know, it wasn't the greatest reign, but the cash in and then him doing all that stuff really opened my eyes to Daniel Bryan. I'm going to put him at the bottom of the awesome tier.
All right. Very well. It was during that run where he lost the belt to Sheamus in what, 11 seconds, whatever it was.
He was getting a smooch. Yeah, man. He was getting a smooch from AJ Lee and then he turned around and whoop-ha.
Bro kick.
Yeah. All right. We've got, oh, man. The lost potential of Nikki ASH.
Yeah, I have her run towards the bottom of mid-tier.
That's where I was going to go to.
Potential. Tons of potential, and they squandered all of it.
Yeah, they really did.
If they had actually booked that well, they had the potential to be A-tier.
Yeah, I'm going to put her... does she go before or after the Punks?
I have her after.
After the Punks, before Kane?
Yeah. I have her, then I have Miz, and then I have Kane. Miz won. Miz's first Money in the Bank.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the funny thing about this is a lot of people really like this one.
Yeah.
I don't
either.
I don't think, and in fact, I would actually put it at the end of mid, and I understand, okay, he cashed in on Orton. It was a big deal. But I think all this really served to do, including his WWE Championship run, was to underscore the fact that Miz never was meant to be a main eventer. The main event in WrestleMania, but the whole story of WrestleMania was setting up Rock versus Cena.
Yep.
He just sort of escaped that with his title, and he lost it a month later in a triple threat, like to Cena.
Yep.
And I understand that people are like, oh yeah, you give, you know, you're it's an unlikely winner, and he cashes in on Orton, and I never liked it. I thought it was terrible, I think, at the time. And I'm not in it. I'm not. So I put him even after Kane, because at least Kane had that cool fucking moment there.
That's fine. Let's talk. I think the only two we have left are Liv Morgan, and Alexa Bliss. Both of them cashed in night of. Both of them in matches involving Ronda Rousey.
True.
If memory serves.
Yeah. It was.
I would give the edge. I have both of them in the mid tier, and I would give the edge to Liv because she was in the midst of this story of her proving I can be a main eventer. And she won this, cashed in on Ronda, of all people, who at the time had only been pinned once. Ronda's reaction to the cash-in was great.
Yeah.
and Liv got the win. So I actually have them back to back, right in the middle of mid tier. I got Liv, and then I got Alexa.
And what are they between Sheamus and CM Punk's?
Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly where I was going to put them as well. And I agree with you 100% on that. I think that Liv's Money in the Bank win and then subsequent cash in became the impetus for the story that she's in now, where she's finding herself. And I think that, I think that's a solid one. I went back and I watched Alexa's, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty good. I think, was that her first women's championship?
That I don't
remember. So yes, Maggie just got here. She came in right after Asuka up in the awesome tier right here. I'm trying to look at this and see if there's any other. Oh man, poor Mr. Kennedy, poor Otis. Jack Swagger's at the bottom of the Jack Swagger, smelling that trash heap, man. But he's pretty happy that he's not there. He's got his purple hat. He's like, you know what? I'm not in the trash heap.
He's got his bucket hat.
I mean, you can't be so. Look, he's up there with Cena and Brock. He's in a tier with Cena and Brock. Him and Del Rio have to be pretty happy about that.
I don't see how they'd be upset about that.
Yeah, I think this is pretty good. This is for the YouTube crowd. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.